I don't believe so, no.
Dr. Dave? Dr. Dave?
Is David going to check in today?
We asked him not to.
Okay, everybody's unmuted.
Everybody.
Thanks, Rhonda.
And, there you go. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Tom, you can hear everybody?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
Get off of TikTok, Tom.
What's TikTok? My clock ain't working.
All right.
We are live and recording.
Okay. We're ready to go. And I'd like to welcome everybody today to the regular meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors, Tuesday, June 16th. And first of all, the first item would be additions to the agenda, and we actually do have an item we'd like to add to the agenda. Does it need to be described?
Yes,
Okay, go
we'll
ahead.
be adding a Madera Subbasin Coordination Agreement. This Madera Subbasin Coordination Agreement is entered into the 22nd of January 2020 by and between the Groundwater Sustainability Agencies for the County of Madera, the City of Madera, the Madera Irrigation District, the Root Creek Water District, the Madera Water District, the Gravelly Ford Water District, and the New Stone Water District.
Very good, and we'll make that.
I move that we find that the need to take action on this item arose after the posting of the agenda and take up the item.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
And Madam Clerk, let's go ahead and have a roll call of the Board of Supervisors, just so we have it officially in records who is here and who is not.
Okay. Roll call.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Roll call. Supervisor Frazier?
Here.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Here.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
And Supervisor Rogers is excused.
Okay. Very good. And we're moving on now to closed session. Council.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Your closed session agenda for today is Government Code Section 54957.6. You have conference with your labor negotiator, Alba Gomez. The employee organization is all units, and your unrepresented employees are your Animal Services Director and Chief Clerk of the Board of Supervisors. Under the same Government Code Section 54957, you have a public employee employment discussion for the same department heads, Animal Services Director and Chief Clerk of the Board. And the last item is anticipated litigation under 54956.9, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 of subdivision D. And it's one case regarding State Water Resources Control Board. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. And we shall go to closed session. Oh, yes. Is there any public comment on these items? Seeing none, we will go to closed session.
Gonna unmute you, okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to a regular meeting of the Madera County Board of Supervisors. And at this time, I'd like to ask for a call of the roll.
Okay, roll call. Supervisor Frazier,
Here.
Supervisor Rodriguez,
Here.
Supervisor Wheeler,
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
We have 4 in attendance, and Supervisor Rogers is excused.
Very good. And just for everybody's information, Supervisor Rogers had surgery last week, and he is on the mend, but, he's still a little bit under the weather. So, he's doing well, but keep him in your prayers. So we miss him here. So I'd like to ask at this time for a report from County Council on closed session items.
Chairman, there are no reportable actions from today's closed session.
Thank you. We now open the meeting and close the meeting in memory of certain individuals. And Supervisor Wheeler, I believe you have a few folks you'd like to recognize.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a crazy week. Steve Walling, he had a motorcycle wreck in North Fork. Actually, he's a pastor and a great friend of everybody. And his wife, I've known her forever. She's a great lady and a big hit for her. I don't know, a lot of you guys might know Larry Frios. He owned all that pistachios out there on 41 and 206 between Bill, blank, and McCaffrey, and he's between that Bill Jameson. And he had polio. He was a great supporter of mine, and I really supported all his stuff. He wanted to develop that someday, that land out there. I don't know what they'll do with it now. He's always been in a wheelchair, and he had a trap shooting thing out there on the ranch, and it was just, he lived life good for what he did. So him and I kind of got along good to each other, knowing we both had it. I was a little more luckier than he was. And then Jean Corey, she's the wife of the Morning Rotary up here. He's the president of the Morning Rotary, and his wife passed away the other day. Kind of suddenly, it's unexpected. And then Vivian Cochran, her husband retired from, the Navy. I think it was the Navy. And they moved up to North Fork and bought the South Fork Hotel and raised their kids up here. And just, it's sold now. Jim McMillan bought it, the one that bought Old Town. And Virginia she was just a great all-around lady. She was friends to everybody, and she passed away the other day. So anyways, it was a rough week for a lot of people. So thank you, and we'll keep them in our thoughts.
All right, thank you, Supervisor. Are there any other individuals? Okay. Let's move on. We have the invocation and pledge of allegiance, and we have Pastor Roger Leach, who's going to lead us in the invocation, and I'd like to ask Sheriff Pogue to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Thank you. Good morning. As we pause to reflect upon these that have passed away, is that we are thankful for their life and all of the things that they have done for our county, and we ask again prayers for their family. And so let's pray. Heavenly Father, today we do remember Supervisor Rogers, and we ask that you continue to strengthen him and just heal his body, cause it to just rebound very quickly, and to where that he's back in office and able to take on all the responsibilities that he has. Lord, we pray that you continue just to watch over our county, over our city, over our area. Lord, I pray for the health and the welfare of each staff person within our county. I ask that you continue to give us strength and give us guidance. Lord, I pray for wisdom today as the Board of Supervisors meet, and you give them, again, just uncanny wisdom for everything that they need to do. Lord, again, we pray that as we celebrate these wonderful days of this early summer with a little bit of coolness, we know that heat is coming, but we thank you that it's such a beautiful time and that we can celebrate the beauty of our community and the beauty of our county. With these things, we ask your blessing. In your name we pray today. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll move on to public comment, and just as a reminder, the first 15 minutes of each regular session are set aside for members of the public to address the board on any matter under the jurisdiction of the board, but not appearing on the agenda. The board will not take action on any items presented under public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, and anyone addressing the board is asked to print their name clearly on the speaker sheet at the podium and state their name and county of residence for the record. Are there any individuals who would like to make comments under this definition? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. And first of all, item T is going to be pulled per the department request.
Item P, like in Paul?
T is in Tom.
Oh, okay.
And speaking of Tom, I believe Supervisor, you would like to discuss B, E, and L.
Yes, please.
Okay. And are there any other items that a supervisor would like to pull for further discussion? All right. Very good. Well, let's go to item B, Animal Services.
Yeah, I just wanted to compliment on doing that, and I hope that our pit team will advertise this and they can get me a some kind of a flyer or something. I'll put it on all my posts, and I think it's a great deal to be doing. I see somebody walked up. Did they want to say something?
Button.
Just have to identify yourself.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we will absolutely get you some flyers, and thank you. I think it's a wonderful idea,
Because
too.
Tom can't see who it is, just need to have you identify yourself.
Oh, I'm Cindy from the animal shelter.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you.
And then on item E, it's a little confusing. I think this is really great. I mean, I can't tell you how great this is. But is there two $500,000 deals, or is it just one? And the language, I just don't understand it, maybe.
Julie Morgan, Assistant Director for Free Neighbor Health. There's just one.
It's just one, okay.
It's two
And,
apartment complexes, but it's one project.
Okay. So I didn't know the way it's kind of read, item number one and item number three. It just didn't sound like they contradicted each other. When are they going to break ground on this?
That information I don't know exactly, but my understanding is before the end of the year.
That'd be so great. I just can't say how nice and great that's going to be. So
Yeah, we're excited to be part of the project.
yeah, absolutely. And item L, I don't quite, we're going to pay him $1,500 a month. I like that. But then it says it's got a breakdown of all this other dollars that they're excusing. The $1.25 a foot seems a little high for just an office, but I guess that's okay. But the utilities are $485, facility use $129, service agreement $176, building services $299, and then they reduced it to $835. Most of those dollars. I just don't understand what all those different things were for. And then also it was signed on October the 10th, 2019. And why is it just now coming to us?
Hi, Sarah Voss, Public Health Director. The date of the agreement, I believe that it was an oversight on behalf of First Five in terms of putting forward the rental agreement. There was a bit of a delay also in terms of the commissioner meetings. And so it was dated back to that October date, but it was not something that processed until later. And then we've had some delay with regards to meetings that have been scheduled due to COVID. So that's where the date issue is. And then the rates for their resource center are standardized, and the commission, I abstained, decided to, because of the alignment of mission between the WIC program, which is what our department is renting the space for that use, was a complement to First Five, and so that's why they discounted the rates.
Okay. Well, I just don't understand what facility use, service agreements, building services. I mean, well, if somebody had to pay all that, they'd be broke. It's more than the rent is. So.
Right. So, as you know, many grants require you to break out by all of those buckets, and so I think it's become their standard practice to break out all of those items.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, very good, Supervisor. And if there's no other questions, are there any members of the public who wish to comment on any of the consent calendar items? Seeing none,
Move to approve.
we have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar.
Pulling item T.
With,
Pulling item T.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Madam Clerk, roll call?
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to public section 7A. We have a Human Resources Department action. I'm not quite sure what this is all about, but Elba.
Good morning, members of the board. Elba Gomez with Human Resources. Just to give you a little bit of background on this item, on June 9th, the Board of Supervisors considered in open session the subject of appointment to fill the sheriff's office vacancy. After receiving public comment and conducting deliberations, the board approved their desire to appoint Under Sheriff Tyson Pogue to the position of sheriff coroner. Approval of the attached resolution memorializes this decision. The appointment is effective Tuesday, June 16th, and Tyson Pogue will serve as a sheriff coroner through the duration of the former sheriff's Barney's unexpired term, which concludes at 12 noon on January 2nd, 2023. I'm here to answer any questions of the board, and Tyson is here as well if you have any questions.
Very good. Are there any comments or questions from the board members?
Yeah. Maybe after public comment.
Okay, very good. Supervisor, okay.
Yeah, I know that's fine.
Okay, gotcha. Supervisor Wheeler, any comments? Nothing?
No, I'm just looking forward to a new era in Madera County.
Very good. And with that, comments from the public.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, supervisors. My name is Bar Kohlberg, and I'm a resident of Madera County. You may remember me as a member of several grand juries. What you may not know is I've donated 25 years to the County of Madera and its citizens as a reserve deputy sheriff. I retired from the Sheriff's Department about 15 years ago as captain. I was a senior ranking officer and commander of all the uniformed patrol reserves. On a regular basis, I worked with many sheriffs and their senior staff. As I took advantage of their open door policy, I became aware of many of the requirements for the position of an effective sheriff. I've seen many good men carry on the duties and responsibilities of sheriff. Each of these men brought with them their own unique qualifications and experiences. Tyson Pogue has many of these same attributes, plus additional ones that will benefit the sheriff's office and the citizens of Madera. Besides his experience and promotions within the Sheriff's Department, I'm impressed with his educational background, especially so with his graduation from the FBI National Academy. Only 1% of the U.S. top law enforcement executives are selected for this program. Taking the above into consideration, I would like to share with you my support for the Board of Supervisors appointing Tyson Pogue as permanent sheriff of the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Bar. Appreciate it. And Supervisor Frazier.
Public comment is closed, or?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, public comments closed. Go ahead.
Last week when we moved to bring this forward, this was one of those easy decisions because I placed it in everyone that from the law enforcement within Madera County, and it was very apparent where law enforcement, as well as other organizations that deal with victims' rights and everything, were behind
You think?
Tyson Pogue. Right?
It was a great outpouring.
It was pretty easy. That's one of those things where, as a supervisor, we're here to make fiscal decisions. We're here to help guide policy, and we're not really here to do the jobs of individual departments. And to see what law enforcement said spoke volumes to Tyson's readiness, his character, and where the top law official will be for the next 2.5 years. And so with that, I'm very pleased and honored to be able to make the motion that we appoint Tyson Pogue to the position of Madera County Sheriff Coroner.
Thank you. We have a
Second.
motion. Okay, motion and a second. Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
Very good. Congratulations, Sheriff.
Hey, woo.
Very good. So, Sheriff, we'd like to hear a few words from you, and then afterwards, we have former Sheriff Varney here to administer the oath.
Excellent. Thank you. Chairman, members of the board, I'm truly humbled and honored as I stand here today. I'm so appreciative of the support of my coworkers, the fellow law enforcement professionals, and of course the board. But I'd be remiss if I didn't express my appreciation to my family. Those of us in law enforcement know that without a strong family support, we will never be successful. Hard hours, odd shifts, overwhelming, crushing stress, missed holidays and birthdays and everything else takes a huge toll on family life. I'm so fortunate that I have such a great supportive family, and their support has led me to where I am today. I have served and will continue to serve Madera County because I believe in Madera County. Being a deputy sheriff has never been just a job for me. Being a Madera County deputy sheriff was about providing a service to the community in which I grew up, a community that I love, and a community in which I am now raising my own family. I have a vested interest in doing what's best for Madera County. We are in tumultuous times in law enforcement as we stand here today. Community relationships are in peril, budgets are strained, and the dynamics of policing are rapidly changing. But I'm up for the challenge. We are up for the challenge. We will not succumb to the despicable acts of a few wretched individuals who tarnish the badge we so proudly wear. We'll rise above and we'll demonstrate what it means to lead with integrity, honor, and courage. I may not know what new challenges we'll face tomorrow, but I know that with the support of our amazing employees, the support of the board, the support of great people like Sheriff Varney, and most importantly, the support of our community, we will continue to grow and continue to strive to do better. I want to commit to you that as your sheriff, my fundamental duty will be to serve the community, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to support and defend the constitutional rights of all, to liberty, equality, and justice. I'm humbled by the board's support and the support of all those here today. I sincerely thank you for this opportunity, and I won't let you down.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take about a 10-minute break right now, and we've got some refreshments in the back and give you a chance to watch the badge pinning.
Just like prom, huh?
There you go. Very good. Congratulations. Enjoy the refreshments.
Good morning.
You're unmuted.
Very good. Tom, can you hear us? Tom, you with us?
One more time.
Tom,
Yep,
supervisor.
I can. It was muted. I tried to unmute it. It wouldn't work.
All right, good. Well,
Now it
hey,
does.
you're with us. Very good. Thank you. Okay, we're going to start with.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
I was disappointed, you guys, that social distancing, and I only seen 2 people with masks on. So as much as it's been spreading down there in Madera, I just really wish you guys would think about that. So the public, we're supposed to lead by example, and people see that on live, and I don't think they're going to be as happy. So anyway, just my thoughts.
Right. My 2 friends from CASA, they both have masks on, so I'm very proud of them. So there you go.
Yeah.
Very good.
There you go.
All right. Well, let's move on to item 6A. This is a public hearing, and it's regarding the resolution approving the assessment of lands by the assessor of the Chowchilla Water District. And on the phone, we have Chowchilla Water District available for questions.
Leela, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, before we open the hearing, are there any comments, questions from any of my colleagues? If not, this is a public hearing. I'd like to open the hearing at this time. And are there any members of the public who wish to make a comment on this particular item? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Roll call vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez? Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 absent.
Very good. Thank you. Move on in public session to item 7B. This is the court-appointed special advocates of Fresno and Madera counties. And we have Wilma Hashimoto and Paul Braswell from CASA that will make the presentation. And it says presentation by special advocates. Well, these are not only special, not only are they advocates, but I mean, we're talking about the top brass right here, so of CASA.
Thank you so much, Board of Supervisors, and especially our Board of Supervisor Chair, Rob Poitras, who also serves on our board, and we couldn't be happier to come back again to give you our annual update. So the mission of CASA of Madera County is to recruit, train, and support volunteers to advocate and speak for the best interests of abused and neglected children in the foster care system. So I think the stories are very important when you understand our work. We have a total of 13 seniors that could have potentially graduated. We have 12 that are graduating. I know that one turned 18, left the state, and got married. Otherwise, we would have had like 100%. But of those 12 that are graduating, 6 are in Madera. The one story I'm going to share with you, she had been in the system since she was 13 years old. She was the oldest of 5 children and suffered, as many of our children, all of our children, abuse and neglect. School was not a high priority for her at 13. When she was assigned to our advocate, she was this close to flunking out, dropping out, and really not caring. She was a statistic typically at 19 of actually having 2 children. But she never, even when she wanted to give up on herself, her advocate didn't. And in fact, taught her, this is why you need to keep going. You not only need to set the example for the 4 younger siblings, but you have kids now to think about. She has been with the baby's father for the past 6 years. And I'm happy to report that she is one of the Madera graduates to graduate. It took her a little longer road. She could not be happier. When you ask her, it's like, well, what do you want to do next? And she wants to go in law enforcement.
Wow.
because, right? Because law enforcement helped her. She wants to have enough money so that she can be a resource parent and take in kids like someone took her and her family in. And of course, we're not going to let her go. She wants to be a CASA advocate. This is an amazing girl that we had come into the system, is now graduating. And this is what we do. This is one of the many stories that we have. And I'm proud to report when I came on board in July 2018, and a few months later I was here, we said we were going to make a difference in Madera County. And having said that, I wanted to give you a little bit of an update. So we went from back 5 years ago, we had to look at the data. We had one part-time employee with 5 advocates. June 2020, we now have 4 employees here, 2 of them being advocate supervisors, one being, I'll explain this, ages and stages specialist, and 1 assistant to help them. So we went from 5 to about 22 in 2018, and now we're serving more than 60 children. We're going to continue with that growth pattern. And from those 5 advocates I had mentioned back 5 years ago, we're up to more than 50. With the COVID-19, everyone could say this, we spun on a dime. And within hours, we had all employees go remotely, set them up, and all of you know what that was like. And then on top of that, it was like our kids need our advocates. So we had to quickly go out to our advocates. Many of them were retired, and technology was not necessarily their friend. So we had to do a lot of like, okay, this is what you need to do. Here are the apps. And we got them up and going, and the rules were changing all the time, and having the communication with them. What we quickly saw within 3 weeks, because our foster youth, one, no longer had the structure of school, their teachers, someone to communicate with, they didn't know. They thought they were all going to die, seriously. And of course, right, as if your parents or grandparents, aunts or uncles, you have those serious conversations with the kids and you do the explaining. All they had were their social media. And so we quickly had to say, okay, we're going to create 3 calming kits. One of them was an Easter basket, but it was after Easter, so we call them spring baskets. And within that spring basket, we had resources for the kids. We all know that they had phones, especially the older ones. So they had apps that they would be able to interact with. And then they also had apps with their advocates to be able to connect that way, say the same story, the same games that they would talk about. And then we had storytelling as well for the younger children. So there was the app where our advocates were able to read to them. It's been a journey, as you would all agree, but we feel really good about the work that we do. And I think I shared last time, I had been in education for 27 years. And I was serving a portion of the children that were at risk. My kids now, they are mine, they are ours, 100% at risk. It's hard work, like all the work that you do. We're all in it together. But it probably, you would agree that it's the most rewarding. That's probably why you're up there. So the ages and stages, one of the biggest wins for us this year was that we received a grant to work with Department of Social Services. Danny is here. And we will be serving 0 to 5-year-olds, all 130 of them. 130 of them. And what we'll be doing, working with DSS, is to assess them in their developmental milestones. So we know as 0 to 5, if we can catch it early on, we'll be able to mitigate any of the issues by providing any resources to them. I love Madera. It has been so easy to just work with a team. From the board members that we have 5 from, to participating in the Interagency Council, Madera First 5 Counties, Live Well Madera, and of course with DSS. So we're happy. We established in 2006, and I really think we've got momentum with having an established office at the First Five Family Resource Center. And if you had driven by Central and Gateway Drive, there's our first billboard. And our next one will be on the 99 going south at 16th Avenue. So our plan is definitely to increase, and every year, hopefully, we have about 30 on our waiting list. I think we'll be able to serve all 30, but what happens is, Danny knows this, we will continue to receive kids. We're a little fearful about once COVID lifts, the number spiking in terms of abused children, and it's going to be reported. So with our initiative looking forward in our new year, we will continue to recruit in Madera. We asked those in North Fresno to serve in Madera as advocates. In fact, we had our first online information sessions, and tonight we start our first online training. So 35 hours online, and we have the largest class ever. So we have 33 people registered, which we think, wow, maybe it's because people have time to be able to do this or the convenience of online. We're onto something. So we will continue to work. We are transitioning back to the office this week. We're going to continue to recruit for more advocates. We're going to ask your help, Board of Supervisors, to continue to promote our work. And our 6 graduating seniors on Friday in Madera will be doing drive-by parades. We'll have the media out there. We also established through online just wonderful community members who donated a laptop for every single one of our seniors so they could look for a job or use it for college. They also have a new Huffy bicycle. I suppose Huffy was a big thing because they made it a point to tell me it was a Huffy bicycle. And each child would either get to go to school that way, travel on campus, or go to work. And necessities. They need towels and sheets and many other things. So we're going to continue to take care of our foster youth. And I want to thank each one of you for supporting CASA. I really appreciate, we couldn't have done this work without your support. And by you giving your staff as support, the community followed. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you,
Paul
Wilma.
Braswell.
And Paul, and then Supervisor Frazier has a comment.
Did you want to comment now, Supervisor Frazier? Well, I wanted to first of all recognize you guys for, again, the work you do and your support. I'm going to be very brief. Awareness is key to our success. People, if they know what we do, they realize how important it is. And we kind of feel that there's no better return on your investment as a volunteer or as a contributor than to invest in CASA. Last year, we had 15,000 hours donated by our advocates. That's worth $30 an hour. That's a lot of resource that's thrown at children's lives to leverage them into changing their story. Instead of going and becoming a statistic in our system where the cost of treating it is outrageous, they could become a contributor to society. Maybe a future Board of Supervisors member. Who knows what the potential of a child is. Yeah, but if they only think that everybody's against them and nobody loves them and nobody understands them and there's nobody looking out for them, it's really easy to become a statistic. So if you would support us, I know financially it's not as easy to do, but if anyone here would like one of these signs for your yard, just awareness alone, it makes a big difference, we found, and I think that's one reason why we have our largest class. So if anyone would like one of these signs, raise your hand. We've left some with Rhonda over here for the board. If you need any more in the future, I'd love to come and help distribute them. And on that, I thank you for your time, and I just encourage you to remember that CASA is a cause very worthy of your support.
Thank you, Paul. Supervisor.
So when I was on the city council, my first education into CASA and what it was, I was invited by Fresno County Supervisor to go to the crab feed. And I remember thinking, oh, this would be great in Madera. And I hadn't really heard about it. And then he told me, oh, this covers Madera as well. And there wasn't as much out here. And so I just want to thank you, you know, in the short amount of time, you know, we sometimes feel like we don't get that the same level of attention, and to see that you've quadrupled the workforce here in 4 short years, and added so many because we have such a need here. I just want to thank you for what you're doing for the kids of Madera County.
Well, thank you very much. And it's actually 2 short years.
2 short years, yeah.
But I also want to say we had made intentional decisions, and one is our next fundraiser, October 14th, to have it in Madera. So it'll be at the Dragonfly Golf Course.
Oh, great.
And then also one of our largest sponsors is Crew Winery, also in Madera. So absolutely, we will definitely continue to grow and Madera is our home. We just need to make it notice.
There you go. Absolutely. In fact, what's so diplomatic about Dragonfly is that it's about as close to Fresno as you can get it and still be in Madera County. So that was.
Yeah, right.
And
It's a wonderful course.
yes,
It is.
without a doubt, and a beautiful cause. But like to thank everybody and for the great work. And Paul is definitely a dynamo in terms of fundraising and getting things going. And Wilma has such a great, encouraging, nonstop drive personality that really helps to bring everything together. And you think about foster youth, and you think about those kids that are in intact families, and even there, you've got certain insecurities and things of that sort. You can think back in your childhood, but you think about a foster youth, and many of them go from home to home to home, and sometimes the CASA advocate is the only one that's the stable individual in their lives. And so it's it really tugs at your heart, but it's a solution. It's one of those things that in our world today, it's one of those bright spots. It's that shining light. And how can you help? We've got the fundraiser in October. We've got other opportunities. The advocates are volunteers. And so if you could think of somebody, the only thing stopping more activity in Madera County is our advocates. If we can get more advocates, we can get more kids hooked up. So that's my little spiel.
Thank you so very much. And again, we so appreciate your support, especially yours. But yes, 10 to 15 hours a month is all that takes to be an advocate and change a child's life.
Very good. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. Going on to 7C, Social Services Department. We have the presentation of proclamation proclaiming June 15th at Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Madera County.
I've been picked on a lot lately.
Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Whereas each year, millions of vulnerable and older adults are victims of abuse, neglect, and exploitation, including physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, as well as neglect, abandonment, and financial exploitation. And whereas according to National Council on Aging, elder abuse is grossly underreported because vulnerable and older adults who are being abused find it very difficult to tell anyone due to shame and fear. And whereas in 2019, Madera County Adult Protective Service social workers responded to 815 cases of elder abuse. And whereas in Madera County's vulnerable and older adults of all social, economic, racial, and ethnic backgrounds may be targets of abuse, neglect, or exploitation, which can occur in families, long-term care settings, and communities. And whereas protecting Madera County's vulnerable and older adults is community responsibility, and all citizens are encouraged to learn to recognize and report suspected abuse, neglect, or exploitation to the Madera County Department of Social Services. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of Madera County does hereby proclaim June 15, 2020 as Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Madera County. Be it further proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors urges all citizens to work together to help protect elder adults from abuse, neglect, and exploitation, because it is imperative that we refuse to tolerate the indignity of elder abuse.
Thank you, Rhonda. Dr. Danny Morris, Deputy Director of Madera County Social Services. Deborah would like to apologize for not being present. She's at our office doing an all-staff meeting with our staff to kind of encourage them and working with them and celebrate the successes they've had throughout the year in serving our entire community for our various programs. With me today, I have 2 social workers and an elderly worker to present their name and share. But I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing us to come and present and celebrate and encourage the work they're doing, but also work with the community and reporting elder abuse. Because as we know, our population of elders is growing in the community of Madera, and we know that by the year 2060, it's supposed to be a 147% increase of elders in our community. So I encourage you to look at the California Department of Aging website to look at what the population is expected to grow for Madera County. We work with various individuals to help support them in ensuring that they receive adequate services, and we respond to both physical, sexual, financial, and general neglect, severe neglect of elders in our community. And as you can see, we had over 815 reports in our community this last year. In the front of our building, you'll see that there's 800 flags posted, over 800 flags posted in front of our building to recognize each individual that received a referral in our community. And would like you to take a look at that if you have a chance, if you're on our campus. Once again, I'm going to have our staff present their name and share what they do in our community.
Hello, my name is Brandy Curran, and I'm a social worker with Madera County Adult Protective Services. I've been with the county it'll be 29 years in October, so thank you. And mainly, I just wanted to thank you guys for helping bring awareness to one of our most important assets of our community, our elders. You need to value them more and advocate for them to make sure that their voices are heard and they're protected.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sandra Lomeli. I'm social worker for In-Home Supportive Services. Been with the county for 7 years, been doing IHSS the last 4 years, and it has been a true mission that I take personally to go out and see all of our elderly dependent adults. And like Danny said, this part of the community is growing increasingly. I can tell the difference from 4 years ago to even 2 years ago. Adult services is one of the biggest passions that we have, and we are truly dedicated in taking care of our community. And our mission statement, stay with us day and night. Thank you for your support, and we look forward into you continuing supporting us in our department. Have a good day.
Hi, good morning. My name is Laura Jimenez, and I'm an eligibility worker with Madera County. I've been with the county for 11 years, and my job is to help process the applications and advocate for elderly for different programs that are out there to help them with their financials, with covering their medical bills, and most of all, just to make sure that everything gets done for them in a timely manner. And again, thank you.
Very good. Thank you for your service. Yeah, Dan?
And Brandy's going to pass Rhonda some purple pins that commemorate elder abuse, and she'll pass those to Rhonda.
Very good. Thank you. Supervisor Frazier.
It's still just up there, but we keep getting thanked for bringing awareness, both for CASA and for this as a board. And I think really the thanks should be going to you for doing the actual work on the ground, helping those people, and we're proud to support you in those endeavors.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, it's I spent a number of years in the banking industry, and it was amazing where somebody maybe in their 40s, 50s, 60s, they're very sharp, have really good acute cognitive abilities. And then later on in the year, something happens, and people who would not get ripped off, or, they would look at the sweepstakes from North Dakota, where they get a check for $4,300, they would think something was wrong. Whereas somebody who is maybe losing the edge a little bit brings it into the bank and says, look, I won something. And I'd say, well, wait a minute. Did you ever sign up for this? Have you ever won anything in the past? Well, no. I said, well, this is fraud. Really? Well, it's a check. And you just like, but I saw it over and over and over again. And that's just one example. It's phone calls. It's all kinds of fraud and abuse. And you just want to reach through that telephone line and just grab somebody's neck and, But anyway, it's just like to, again, echo Supervisor Frazier and thank you for your great work. And all of us need to be aware of it because we all have some elderly family member or somebody that, or a friend, that if you suspect any kind of abuse or any kind of help they may need, please intervene. It's important because they can be, whatever life savings they have, it could be gone in a second, some stuff. Thank you.
We should report the phone calls, right, Jay, to the sheriff's department, even if you think nothing can happen, just to gain as much information as possible.
There's so many different types of scams now. You're better off to call. You'll at least get an idea if this is one that's common, if this is one that something can be done about. Rob's right. What happens with these folks, they get talked into participating in a scheme, and then once they begin to participate, the people on the other end of the phone then begin to threaten folks. And of course, people who are older generally grew up in a generation where you didn't make idle threats, so they get pretty concerned for their own personal safety, and oftentimes they lose significant amounts of money, if not their life savings, before they reach out to someone. So you see anyone who's doing anything similar to what Supervisor Poitras said, I guess better to intervene early and have to verify that what they're doing was right or not right than to allow them to lose all their savings. So it's always better to call than to not call, because if you may call and they may not be able to do anything, but if you don't call, they can't do anything.
Right. Well, thank you very much. And with that, I'd like to have my colleagues join me, and we'd love to present you with a proclamation.
Where's your mask at, Rob? Brett, where's your mask? Danny, where's yours? Okay, item 7D. This is a presentation of a proclamation proclaiming June 13, 2020 as a day of recognition for the office of the Public Guardian / Public Administrator of Madera County.
Whereas the public guardian, public administrator provides mandated conservatorship and estate administration services as specified by the Probate Code and Welfare and Institutions Code. And whereas the public guardian staff are highly trained, hardworking, dedicated professionals who serve to protect and care for those in our community who are unable to properly care for themselves or who are unable to manage their finances and have no one else to assist them. And whereas the Office of the Public Guardian ensures the physical and financial safety of persons unable to manage their person or estate. And whereas the Public Administrator is charged with managing the estates of persons who die without a will or an inscribed executor of the estate. And whereas, as of May 2020, the Office of the Public Guardian manages 204 cases to protect and care for members of our community who are unable to care for themselves. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of Madera County does hereby proclaim June 13, 2020 as a day of recognition for the Office of the Public Guardian, Public Administrator in Madera County, and recognize the staff's accomplishments with a gesture of appreciation.
Thank you, Rhonda. Dr. Danny Morris, Deputy Director of Social Services. Again, I thank you for allowing us to present and share the work that's being done by our Public Guardian and Public Conservator's Office. With me today is Mardell Chinwell, who will share some of the work that the staff has done but they do a tremendous amount of work in serving our community and helping ensure that resources are provided to those in need.
Thank you, everybody. Good morning. Really an honor for the public guardian staff to do the work that we do. We really appreciate serving the people of Madera County and protecting those who are the most vulnerable in our community, notably the mentally ill, developmentally delayed, those with dementia, who are not able to make decisions for themselves. So we have the ability to help people legally, financially, make living decisions for them based on the legal authority that the court gives us to protect these people. We look forward to further serving the most vulnerable in our community with the tools that the county has given us, and we hope that we can continue to do that in greater measure for those who really need it. We anticipate further growth with those who are getting older and those who are experiencing greater mental illness. Thank you very much for honoring us this day. We really appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, thank you for all you do. It's got to be at the same time rewarding. It's got to be very challenging, with the varying degrees of issues you have to deal with and so forth. So thanks so much for this very valuable role that you play. Any comments from any other colleagues? Any comments from the public? If not, we have a proclamation that we'd like to deliver to you. So we'll meet you right down here in front.
Where's her mask at?
Thank you again. And the next item, 7E, it's the County Administration Department for the Library, discussion, consideration, approval, and acceptance of the California State Library Mobile Library Grant Program Award and Project. Exciting.
No mask there either, huh? Jeez, oh, criminy, what are we doing leading by example?
Tristan, could you check your mic, please? Thank you.
Tristan Shamp, County Administration Department. All right, in April 2020, the Madera County Library applied to the California State Libraries bringing the Library to You mobile library grant program. We applied for an award of $225,921 with a $231,387 in-kind match to implement a mobile library or bookmobile program. On April 27th, after a very quick turnaround, the application was awarded for $206,000. Basically, our proposed project involves what we call it the Madera County Mobile Library Service Project, and that will implement a new bookmobile service, the first of its kind to be operated within the county. The project involves the purchase of a new utility van or similar vehicle that will be customized with shelving, lighting, electronic hookups, a wheelchair lift, and other features to function as a bookmobile. Additional program funds will be used to purchase materials and supplies to outfit bookmobile, including book collections, craft office supplies, laptops, Wi-Fi hotspot devices, folding chairs, tables, a pop-up tent, and other materials. We have formed a partnership with First Five Madera County that will provide child and parent literacy training through their backpack literacy program. I'll have Mary describe that program a little bit further.
Hello, Mary Jo Lawrence, Madera Main Library. Earlier this year, we were approached by First Five in Madera County, and they have offered a $100,000 grant to promote literacy here in Madera County through a backpack literacy program, which will be teaching parents how to involve literacy in the home. We are focusing on children ages 4 and 5 that are not already in an established program. Each one of our branches, the main library, Madera Ranchos, Oakhurst, North Fork, and Chowchilla will all have this program available. It will be a 12-month program. Kids will be learning their letters, their numbers. They'll be learning shapes, colors, all those things that they would normally get in a preschool program. And we teach the parents how to involve reading with their kids at home and other activities. With the Bookmobile program, this will give us an opportunity to take this program out into other parts of our communities, which we have difficulty getting the community to come in because of our farm workers, migrant workers, also locations, places such as Fair Meetup around Chowchilla. Over we can serve people, Bass Lake, Horse Gold, Lavinia. There's so many individual pocket communities that would be able to serve with this as well.
Very good. Thank you.
Chairman and members of the board, Krista Riggs, Library Director, and I just want to say how proud and grateful I am of this team with Tristan and Mary Jo and all of their hard work on this project, on both of the projects, really helping us to expand our reach and expand our services beyond just our physical buildings, but into, like Mary Jo was saying, those communities that it is more difficult to make it into a physical branch. Such as also Raymond, Mary Jo mentioned Course Gold. The California State Library mentioned that for the Bookmobile grant, it was very competitive, that there were a lot of projects that went unfunded. And so we're just really grateful to be getting this. It's great news in a challenging time, and we're excited to see what happens and grateful for your support.
Very good. Well, thank you so much. Now, this is really a cool thing. Are there any comments from my colleagues? Anything you'd like to say?
Just wondering, are they practicing safety practices over at the library? Are they not wearing masks? Are they checking people for temperatures? Are they keeping 6 feet apart? What are they doing?
I'm not even sure they're open.
Right now, that's a great question, Supervisor Wheeler. Right now, we are only doing curbside services, so it's a contactless service where people can call us or place holds on items online, and then they call us when they arrive, and we put the materials out on a table. They come and take the materials, so we're not having to handle money, handle library cards. We're also quarantining any return materials for at least 72 hours, which is the recommendation of the CDC. And then moving forward, we are hoping everything, if all the stars align, to be able to start offering limited services, maybe even by July 1st. But at that time, definitely our staff will be wearing masks. We'll recommend that the public also wear masks. We have touchless thermometers all ready to go. We have the plexiglass shields in place at all of our branches. So we are being as careful as possible for our staff and the community.
And also the app, the B app, where you can download digital.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that, Supervisor Frazier. Yeah. A lot of our resources right now that we're able to offer are online, like our mobile app, where people can download books, audio books to their phones, to their tablets. And they don't even have to come into the library, but with their library cards, they have access to so much more online. But if they do want a physical book, we can still get those to them through the curbside services. But thank you.
Very good, thank you. Are there any members of the public who wish to make a comment regarding this item? If not, I'll accept a motion for action.
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve the acceptance of the award and project. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going back to a different period. Roll call vote.
Call for
I
the
get
vote.
those.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 excused.
I waited, Rhonda.
Very good. I was just so excited about this. I just couldn't wait to get it approved. So very good. Well, thank you. All right, 7F. This is the Human Resources Department regarding supplemental pay.
Good morning again, Alba Gomez with Human Resources. This item is being brought to you as a result of 2 vacancies that we have in the Department of Community and Economic Development and Public Works. The work that was being by those positions has shifted and is being assigned to 4 employees in the department. So as a result of that, we're recommending that the employees be paid 10% in supplemental pay for the work that's being performed. If you have any additional questions, Matt is also here able to answer more questions specifically about the cost savings of the department.
That's what I was going to ask. Is there any cost saving?
Thank you, Supervisor Frazier. Matt Treber, Chief of Development Services. So there are significant cost savings by keeping these 2 department head level positions vacant. It results with the increase of the 10% pay and going back a little bit into the agenda on the Wildan contract that we had that the board considered on consent and adopted, which was a $100,000 increase to our existing contract with Wildan. It went from $150,000 to $250,000. This additional pay results in just a shade over $50,000 annual cost. So we have a grand total by not filling these 2 department head positions of a savings of almost $350,000, $348,000. Is the net savings to the county by not keeping these positions vacant and increasing the pay of these 4 individuals and having them assume those duties. So available for any other questions.
Very good. Any other questions? Yes.
I got one if it's okay.
Yes.
Hey, Matt, thank you. I explained that to somebody last night so they would understand that. And it's a great move. I think we'll really benefit from this, from the hard workers that we have that will be doing this work now. Also, on Well Done, will they have they ever went over their $150,000 in a year?
They have not, and a lot of that. I mean, another thing to pay attention to, I guess, on the Wildan contract, the majority of that contract is covered not only by our applicants that come in and then need survey work and those services, but it's covered by road fund and subvented state dollars that are coming in. So it doesn't hit the general fund.
Right. That's what I thought. Most of the developers that have to have their plans and stuff checked they have to pay for that. We don't pay for it out of our general fund or anything of our money. So
that is correct. That's not to say I don't want to leave certainly the board or the public with the assumption that 100% of that contract cost is covered.
No, I shouldn't have said it that way. You're right.
We have a road project that goes out, right? We have it surveyed, but that's covered under the road fund, so it doesn't hit the general fund of the county in most cases.
Very good. Supervisor Frazier.
Yeah. So I think this is great, but I want to make sure also that things aren't falling through the cracks. Do we have a good form in place that makes sure that everything is done and these duties are taken over by by these individuals. And if it's not working, if we have to then bring on that person, do these go away? Like a department head?
Yes, so that would certainly, and Elba may speak to the human resource side of that shop, but for an example, if we were to fill the Public Works Director position, yes, this incentive pay, or not incentive pay, the additional pay for the duties, assuming that by the 3 deputies within Public Works, that would go away once we hire that permanent department head position.
Okay.
Very good. Are there any members of the public that have any questions regarding this item?
Good morning. Andrea Saldati, Deputy Director for Public Works. Although I do not have any questions, I would just like to say thank you for the consideration on behalf of myself and the other deputies. We are fully charged to get ready to go. We've been kind of filling in where we need to, and we just really appreciate the consideration.
Certainly, thank you. Anybody else? If not, we'll bring it back to the board for action.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve this item. Roll call vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 excused.
Very good, thank you. And Elba, you're there for the next one, 7G, consideration of approval to terminate Madera County contract 11-1376-19.
Thank you, members of the board. Elba Gomez with Human Resources. So Madera County Human Resources has a contract for consulting services and chief negotiator services with Ken Caves and Associates. Due to the severe COVID-19 impact on the county's budget and impacting the human resources budget specifically, the department is requesting to terminate the contract effective June 30th. Beginning July 1st, the principal human resources analyst in our department will be acting as the chief negotiator for further negotiations for the county. The units will be notified of the change and instructed that if they have any questions to contact the principal HR analyst. I do want to indicate that we want to thank Ken Caves for all the work that he's done for the county in the last 25 years. And it's unfortunate that this pandemic had to hit at this time and affect the budget that we have in place with our department.
Okay, very good. Are there any questions of Elba from my colleagues?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Will it be worry about maybe having an impartial negotiator that works for the county? I mean, I know he works for the county because we contract with him, but do you think there'd be much difference in that?
Can you repeat the question again, Supervisor Wheeler?
Being a county employee, like the person you're going to have doing the negotiations besides yourself, is that, you think that'd be impartial? Do you think the unions will think that we're just looking out for ourselves only, with Ken kind of has that relationship where he's been working with him for years and knows that he's kind of looks out for both sides?
Right. So I think we've thought about the process. I think it's going to be important for Susan to build a relationship with the union and build that trust component moving forward. The impartiality always has to be there, and having those discussions with them and understanding. It really comes down to a lot of the relationship that you have with the union members and the representatives, and being able to build that trust. So that's one of the things that Susan and I will definitely work moving forward, is continuing to have those conversations with union representatives and the labor members, and building that trust that we need to have with the department. So I don't think the impartiality is going to go away. I think we're still going to have that in our department.
Yeah, yeah. I just wonder about that. I don't know. We'll see how it works. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like it's a big sum of money. It's only $20,400 so a year. So.
Supervisor Frazier.
Yeah, I just want to say this is no reflection on Ken's performance. He's been amazing for all the years I've worked with him. I've always appreciated all of his input and feedback and relationships built. the institutional knowledge that he has in regards to this, and I hope at some point we can reinstitute this if this goes through, to be able to bring that back. I don't want to close any doors. It's one of the tougher decisions I've had, I know.
Thank you. Supervisor Rodriguez.
You know, I don't feel comfortable with this issue with Ken. Ken's been around with the county for years and years and years, and he's not being treated correctly. I don't feel comfortable with this. Here lately, Madera County, we've been letting a lot of people go. And some is warranted and some isn't, but let's let that go. But with Ken, I don't feel comfortable with the situation as we are. With the man being with the county so many years with good services, and to give him days' notice, that's not right. I said, that is not right. And all he's asking for is, what is it, 2.5 months or whatever, compensation. I think he's entitled to it and more. Thank you.
Any other comments from my colleagues? If not, are there any members of the public who would like to comment?
Kenneth Caves and Associates, I would like to comment, please.
Very good.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the board on this important matter. On May 31st, I celebrated 25 years representing Madera County as your chief negotiator. During that time, the number of bargaining units has increased from 6 to 13. During these 25 years, the county has enjoyed a period of labor peace. I think I have been a large part of that with my approach of open, honest, and straightforward communication with the various bargaining units and their representatives. I've been able to build a trust with those representatives so that they know that what is being told to them is the truth with no embellishments. I've had the opportunity to work with 5 chief administrative officers, 6 heads of the Human Resources Department, as well as a number of Board of Supervisor members. During my tenure, I am not aware of any complaints or concerns being lodged against my character or performance in my representing the desires and directions of the Board of Supervisors. As you know, we are in the midst of negotiating 1-year extensions to all 13 bargaining units. On Thursday, June 11th at approximately 10:10 a.m., we reached a verbal agreement with SEIU for a 1-year extension of their MOU. We had had several sessions with SEIU leading up to reaching that tentative agreement. Those sessions were utilizing Zoom. At approximately 10:20 that same morning, in a phone conversation with Elba, Director of Human Resources, she informed me that she was terminating my contract with the county effective June 30th, 2020. The phone conversation was to discuss the financial concerns of the Human Resources Department. Evidently, the contract with Caves and Associates was the concern of the department, and that my services would be eliminated to help in that necessary budget cutbacks needed in the department. I was told that Susan Carter would become the county's chief negotiator. I was uncertain whether the Director of Human Resources had the authority to terminate a contract between the Board of Supervisors and myself. I inquired if the board was aware of her action and was assured that the matter had been discussed with the board on June 9th, 2020. I stated that I wanted to hear it from the board. Later that evening, I was informed that the matter would be on today's agenda, and I am before you this morning to address the item before you take any action. I am currently in the 2nd year of a 3-year contract that was approved by this board in May of 2019. It is the 9th such contract that the board and I have signed. Each of those 9 was for a 3-year period. My monthly rate has been the same for the past 7 years and would continue through the duration of the current contract until May 31st, 2022. In my line of work, a contract is very important. It is what I strive for in reaching agreements, finalizing a contract. Black's Law Dictionary has 10 pages covering all kinds of contracts, but defines a contract as, quote, an agreement between two or more parties creating obligations that are enforceable or otherwise recognizable at law, end quote. We have completed 13 months of a 36-month contract, and the recommendation is to terminate Madera County Contract number 11376-19, signed by me on February 11, 2019, and Brett Frazier, then chairperson of the board, on May 21st, 2019. And that contract would terminate June 30th, 2020, 14 days from today. Quite honestly, I'm appalled by the way the planned termination was provided to me, and the board would even consider such action resulting in a termination with just 14 days notification. I stand before you today ready, able, and willing to fully execute the agreed upon provisions of the contract approved by this board last year. I ask the board, are you willing to honor your commitment of Madera County Contract number 11376-19? As a negotiator, I'm always looking for a win-win solution to situations. This situation is no different. I believe it shows a lack of dignity and respect to suggest a contract be terminated with just 14 days notice, especially with the record of support and service that I have provided. Yesterday, I had an opportunity to talk with Regina Garza, County Council, and I shared with her a proposal that I believe would meet the needs of both parties. Much more inclined to meet the needs of the county than to meet the needs of Caves and Associates. COVID-19 has affected me as much as anybody else. I don't think it's important to do the specifics of that proposal because the CAO and the Department Chair of Human Resources did not find favor in the conversations with Regina. So the question before you is, do you honor a contract? Is it important to you? Because if my contract is terminated, how will the 13 bargaining units view their contract? Granted, they have protections of statutes that I do not enjoy, but it will have an effect on the relationship between the county and your 13 bargaining units. Thank you for your time.
Very good. Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to comment on this item? Any colleagues? Elba? Comments or you're just...
I don't think I have additional comments. I think we're, all the departments right now are looking for ways to try to figure out how this budget shortage is going to affect the department. So mine is significant. And, the budget itself, I have to look on how I'm not going to impact the current staff that I have and the changes that we have to make for the department. So we have to look at different ways to make sure that we're meeting those requirements, and us is 5% of my budget. And so how do I not impact staff and make changes to the current permanent employees that we have in the department and realign the work that we're doing to ensure that we're still getting the work done? So, one of the things that I do have done in previous positions is work very closely with unions. And so when I had the conversation with Susan, that's something that I've made very clear to her, is that building the relationship with the union is one of the key components of being a chief negotiator. Being a negotiator in previous positions, that's what you have to do, is build those relationships. And so it is a shift. The COVID-19 has caused a lot of changes for the departments, not just my department, a lot of other departments. And so that's why we're asking for this request to assist the department in ensuring that nothing else gets affected with the employees that are working in the department.
Very good, thank you. Supervisor Frazier.
What was the request and what would all of it entail? I think important for any decision that we make to have that information.
What request? I'm sorry.
Mr. Caves had said that there was a win-win solution. But what was that?
So I didn't have a conversation specifically with Ken, but I don't know if Regina or
I think I'll provide that. So Mr. Cave requested 2.5 months worth of payout, and we actually got back with him through county council and offered, 2.5 months. I don't know if I said 2.5 months or 2.5 years. 2.5 months of payout, and we countered that with 1 month, which he declined.
On the 2.5 months, with that services that would be a handoff of information. Still, there would still be.
My understanding is that Elba is prepared to take over this immediately. I am neutral in terms of where we go with this. That's the board's determination. However, keep in mind you have a $5.7 million budget deficit, and Elba's department does not have any openings that could fund something like this. If you were to take a similar logic to what you had with the 10% boost that we just gave to the folks in Public Works and Community and Economic Development. So it's certainly up to the board to determine whether they want to pay Mr. Caves under his contract. I would not comment on the legalities of that. I'm not your county council.
And I think my question was if, because it wouldn't be a payout, it would have to be for some services rendered. And I guess I would like to just understand if that's a path that we would go, what would those services look like in that 2.5 months? That makes sense.
So the services are specified in the contract. As Ken mentioned, we're very close to finishing the successor extension agreements. After that, we don't have any negotiations scheduled with any of the units. If we have negotiations for a specific item is done specifically in our department with the union, but my understanding is for Ken, it was always successor agreements or specific areas in the contract. So after we're done with the extensions, we wouldn't necessarily have any negotiations going on for that specific area. So there wouldn't be anything from our side, specifically, Susan and I will be working on the other areas that we have. So if grievances come up, we handle those internally, have always handled those internally from my understanding. And so that would not go out to Ken.
So the counter of the 1 month was, because that's
transition.
That's about how much time there seemed to have been. Okay.
So I got a question, Chairman, if he's done.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Elba, is Susan the one that's going to take his place doing that? Does she get a raise for doing that?
So we are putting her in a principal human resources analyst, a management position that will give her probably about, if I remember, about $300 a month raise.
So that's $1,400 a month, roughly.
Differential.
So since we got this contract, I didn't realize when we talked about it that the contract for Ken ran to 2022. What about just keeping the contract as is and have Susan work with him to train to figure out exactly how he's been working with the unions and what have you, so we could do an easy transfer of this instead of just abruptly doing like we're trying to do now.
So the only concern I have with that, Supervisor Wheeler, is that I have to figure out how to cut money in my budget. And so we have a position that we're going to unfund to meet the requirement that was set by the 5%. And then we also have to look at other cuts. I'm also considering maybe cutting some of the ongoing expenses that we have in our normal budget, like advertising or certain areas like that, so we can make sure that we don't impact the current staff that we have. There is one position that I'm going to have to unfund in order not to meet the requirements set by the county. So that's my response to that.
Yeah.
So very good. I just like to make a comment. This is obviously an action that is difficult and is something that as a board member and because of relationships, it's something that we're hesitating on for some really good reasons. On the other hand, we're considering this for a catastrophe that has hit the county, not only this county, but every county across the United States and every municipality. And in our case, the number is 5.7 million. And guess what? This is just one of many, many, many difficult decisions that we're going to have to make. And they all add up, to that 5.7 million number. That's, we're elected to make those decisions in good times and bad times. And this came out of left field. We had no idea this pandemic was going to hit us, and it's hit everybody hard. The guys across the street are having to make those decisions. Our counties to the south, the north, cities. And so it's, again, it's not something, and we're hesitating for some very, very good reasons. But at the end of the day, we have to think about our business model and our budget and keeping folks on the payroll. So I understand, the situation we're in. So if there's no other comments, I'll accept a motion for action.
Max,
Yes, Max.
Yeah, well, I understand your situation, your deficit and all that, but you don't just tear up contracts because of the problems that you're having. I understand the direction from the board to you to cut costs, but you do have a contract that you have to honor. And the man's been here many, many years, over 25 years. And to treat him the way that we're doing is not correct. Any way you want to think about it, he's offered a way out, and we should consider, or whatever. But I mean, this is not Madera County. We say we're the best county in California. Well, this is not the way we treat our directors. No.
I understand.
And he happens to be done a good job, as I understand. So let's consider a better way to do it.
Yeah.
I move that we table this.
I was gonna say the same thing and let our CEO, HR director, and county council work to bring that back. I was gonna make a motion.
I'm not ready to vote any other way, so somebody will second that. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, so we have to do a vote to table it. Is that the idea? Or, okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Purpose of tabling it for what?
The maker of the motion would have to say what that.
I'm tabling it to let them bring back better details on this. I'm not ready to do this yet. I just don't think it's a contract that's in place till 22. Geez, I tell you, a whole bunch of two. Wait till we get 22, man. I'm just not ready for that yet. I think that we're jumping the gun. I really liked working with Ken over all these years. But I think you're doing a great job too. I just think that we as a county here, there's no real reason for jumping. If he done something bad or did something, crazy that we had grounds to do that, I would move to do it, but I'm just not there yet. So.
Okay, roll call vote.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Wheeler?
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez?
No.
Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Vote passes 3-1 absent.
Okay, very good. So this item is tabled until a future date. Okay, moving on to 7H. Okay, 7H Council. Or Stephanie or somebody.
I haven't got no H.
Well, there's a good reason it was added on. We added it on.
Oh, that's what we did at the add-on. Okay.
Yeah. So if you had an H, I'd have to take a look at your agenda and see what you got.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Stephanie and Agneson, Director of Water and Natural Resources. This is an item that was added after the agenda was posted and is urgent. I have a coordination agreement. This is a requirement for groundwater sustainability plans in multi-plan basins. We now have a signature from New Stone Water District on it. We've been negotiating language in an all-day mediation on Friday with Deputy County Counsel Mike Linden. There are two small changes. One describes the 4,500 acre feet of groundwater inflow in a footnote to the water budget. It does not include that number in the budget itself. The other note it says that the agreement doesn't create any independent contractual rights of any party to bring actions against any other party. So no additional requirements other than those that are under SGMA. So those are the two changes that we worked on in mediation. We have an agreement that's signed by New Stone. We're bringing this agreement back to you today for your approval.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions of Stephanie?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank her. This in some of the stuff that the state was worried about us not getting done. So Stephanie, another one of those good jobs you've done. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you for your support.
County Council.
Yes, and it may not have been mentioned at this point, but mentioned earlier, if there's anyone from the public that would like a copy of the subsequent need item that was added and what's before the board, it's available with the clerk of the board.
Very good. And speaking of the public, is there any public comment? Or are there any public comments? Seeing none?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this item. Madam Clerk.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier.
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler.
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez.
Yes.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Vote passes 4-1 excused.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very, very good news. Next, we go to pending legislation. Any pending legislation anybody like to discuss? If not, let's go to supervisor and staff reports. I'll start to my right, Supervisor Rodriguez. Nothing to report. Supervisor Wheeler up in the sky.
Yeah, you know, I really worry about all the people there today. I only seen, you know, a couple, probably 10% with masks. You know, we're supposed to lead by example. We're putting out all of these requirements for all of our businesses and everything else. We are a business, and it really bothers me that not everyone is wearing masks and staying. If they're not, staying there 6 feet away. You know, we're the leaders, and we're not following everybody what they're doing, and it kind of pisses me off. If you really want to know the truth. Thank you.
Very good. Supervisor Frazier.
Yeah, so there was a virtual deal today for Valley Children's. The U.S. News and World Report recognized Valley Children's once again as one of the nation's best children's hospitals in the country in this time 7 different pediatric specialties. In the past, it's been 3, 4, now we're up to 7 different, and I can't pronounce any of the names, so I'm not going to.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you. Mr. CAO.
Nothing to report. District 1 just reported what I was going to report. Thank you.
Very good. And County Council?
No report, Chairman.
And Madam Clerk?
No report, Chairman.
No reports. Very good. Then we have no more. We've completed closed session, so we will adjourn at 12:07.
Well done.
Have a great lunch.
Thank you, guys.
You, Tom.